and welcome back to the channel for another movie review today. And today I'm going to be looking at Missing. Now, if you don't know what Missing is, this is technically the spiritual successor to the very, in my opinion, underrated film Searching. And this film was directed by Will Merrick and Nicholas D. Johnson, and stars such people as Storm Wright, Ken Liu, and Nia Long. This film is about a teenage girl. Her mom goes missing, and it's basically a mystery of her trying to find her mom. But the unique perspective is it's taken exclusively from the perspective of a camera or a laptop. I watched this movie a couple days ago. I wanted to make a review of it because I really liked the film Searching, which is kind of like the sequel to this. It has nothing to do with like the characters from that first film, but it's very much inspired by that as it's presented in the same way as which I said it's actually taken from the perspective of the laptop screen and different cameras throughout the film. So that alone makes these type of films very unique. I know they've been done to a similar extent before. The Unfriended movies are not so great, but I will give those films that they actually tried to be different. And it's very similar here, but instead of them being full-on horror, they're more thriller-based movies. And for the most part, they're actually really good. And I can say the same about this movie. I was really pleasantly surprised that this movie was almost, it was on the same level as Searching, I'd say. I still like Searching a little bit more. I thought there were some things in that film that it did better than this movie, but we're going to talk about some of those things today, and I'm just going to give a big review of it. Now, to start off, if you're one of those people that think it might be a little strange to watch a movie from a perspective like this, from a laptop screen, watching our main character like Google certain things, or somebody who maybe just thinks that wouldn't be very entertaining for a movie, well, I can say that that's completely wrong. I actually think this movie is extremely entertaining, and it's actually really well put together. Like, the plot itself, it goes for a lot of twists and turns, and it actually makes for a really enjoyable experience and a really good mystery. You're constantly trying to put the pieces together and figure out what's going on, where this mom is, and you're going with our main protagonist and you're finding out these things, and it actually made for a really good theater experience. A lot of the people in my theater were reacting to little clues or little things that were discovered. It was a really great experience, and it's a true testament how good this mystery in this movie is and how much good like twists and turns it has. And I'm sorry, I gotta say it again, I love the way this film is presented. The laptop screen, I'm gonna say it constantly, is just so well done in this movie. Searching did it especially well, but this movie just keeps that going, and it's so great, and I loved that experience. Another really technical thing I actually really liked was the editing. With certain movies, you want to keep the flow of the film going in a natural way. You want it to make it feel like you're going from scene to scene. So a big hurdle that the filmmakers have to jump through in this movie is how do you make each scene feel like it flows to one to the next? And there's some really good editing in here that definitely does that. It was wonderful. The film felt very well paced with that. The editing helped. It had really good editing moments too, like a lot of really great transitions that were made for suspense, comedy sometimes, and they were just really good, and they kept the film going pretty well. Another thing I was kind of worried about with this movie is that this movie is not going for the Searching approach, which in Searching, if you haven't seen that movie, it's actually about a dad trying to find his daughter. In this movie, it's a daughter trying to find her mom. Now, I don't like to hate on kid actors or anything, teenage actors, but it feels like sometimes in movies they go for the more like internet slang, you know what I mean? Like, it just feels very outdated, and I was kind of worried just because this movie had kids in it and teenagers that it would be somewhat like that. It'd come off as dated or cringy, but I'm happy to say that it doesn't. They don't go for that sort of humor. They don't go, honestly, for just that kind of like dialogue at all. It feels very close to home, and it feels very relatable and believable, and people aren't constantly saying like stupid internet slang, like that's all not really here. Like, there are a couple times they say it, but it feels genuine because it feels like, you know, a real person would act like this and say certain things, and it doesn't feel forced or anything. So I think this film is really gonna come off as really well aged after time. Another thing I really liked was the premise. I went over it a little bit, but the premise of this movie is actually pretty entertaining. Like, I was worried about it being too similar to certain other films, but the twists that they do provide you are actually pretty good, and they actually make for a pretty fun experience, and you're constantly engaged. You're constantly wondering what's going on, you're watching the movie, you're not getting distracted by anything, and that was really nice to see, because I was kind of worried that the film would come off too much like Searching, and it doesn't. I'm sorry for saying, like, keep bringing up Searching, but it's the only movie that I think you can compare this movie to as of now, because they both have similar plots, but they're both different in certain ways that keep them feeling fresh and unique. And another thing I actually wasn't expecting in this movie that I'm actually pretty happy they covered is controversy. Now, let's take it from a real point perspective. When certain things happen, like when someone goes missing, let's say, and hypothetically, let's say like some things are brought to the surface about maybe why that person's gone, what's happening, the media naturally jumps on that. And people will be in either corner. They'll be supporting it, they'll be like, oh, you know, like she's getting what she deserves, or, you know, something like that. Like negative controversy and just controversy in general. And I really liked how this film covered that. You have certain sequences where it's all over the media and everyone's talking about this disappearance of this mother. Some like videos come in certain point during the film that are like some proof to a certain thing that I won't say, and you have these scenes where these people are making like theory videos. They're making theories on, oh, she did this because this happened, or she did this because she's a terrible mother, when in reality, it goes back to your main characters and like, no, this isn't like what's happening. And I liked how it portrayed real life families that would probably go through similar things, and I like the realness of them going, well, no. It's just the media making a big mockery of something that honestly is a lot less, like, I guess, grand and extravagant than it is. And I actually really like that they kind of covered that a little bit. It was nice. Like, it was quick, but I do appreciate them at least addressing that. Now, going on to negatives, I only have one big negative with this movie. Only one. And that's the fact that I feel the last act is a bit bloated. There are certain things that are discovered during the third act that are integral to the plot. Like 100% you need to know them or we don't have a movie. But the thing is I feel like there's just a little bit too much. Too many things are put to the surface the last little bit of the movie, and it makes the film feel kind of like overstuffed. It almost makes the film feel just a little bit too much. And there's a certain big plot point closer to the end that I think is kind of predictable in a slight way. Like, not super predictable. When you sit back though and think about it and you kind of give, like, you just take it all in, you kind of lean towards one way of, okay, it might be this. And by the end of the film, you kind of do get that. And I was kind of disappointed that it wasn't something a little bit like more than that. Which, naturally, this is, I think, a movie that it was kind of going for that. It was trying to make you feel a different way. But then it was actually like, you know, no, it's not that. But I didn't enjoy that much. The last act of this movie was kind of like the worst part of the movie for me. I still really liked it, but that last act was just a little too bloated. But all in all, I would say I had a really great time with this movie. It's not as good as Searching. Searching is still a little bit better in my books, but it's still a really competent thriller in this sort of like laptop style that I really freaking enjoyed, and that's why I'm going to give Missing an 8 out of 10. It is a really, really good thriller movie. It's perfectly serviceable. I recommend watching Searching before, but I think it's in general a really nice step in the right direction for this sort of filmmaking, and I really hope they make movies like this in the future, because there's a lot of different stuff you could do. I'm really hoping they make a horror movie that's not Unfriended, that actually takes full advantage of this and does it really well. Because I think the unlimited potential is just there, waiting to be unlocked, and I really hope they make movies like this in the future. But anyways, if you like this video, please like and subscribe down below for more movie reviews and content on the channel coming pretty damn soon, and I'll see y'all in the next one. See ya.